Today, 28th April 2026, equivalent to Islamic calendar, second Zulqa'dah, 1447 after the Hijrah of the Noble Prophet. In the headlines, Human Rights Group issues 48 hours ultimatum to federal government to withdraw unlawful order on media. University staff threatens strike action over salary renegotiation. Troops arrest over 20 terrorists and rescue kidnapped hostages nationwide. And on the international scene, Iran says final agreement still far off and shuts Hormuz Strait again. And on sport updates, Falconets intensify preparations for Malawi clash on the 20 Women's World Cup qualifiers. Details of these and more will be coming to you in the news bulletin. I am Sumaya Mustafa. Stay tuned. The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has called for the immediately reversal of the unlawful notice by the National Broadcasting Commission (NBC) threatening sanctions against the media and presenters on vague and unjustified grounds. SERAP Deputy Director Kolawole Oluwadare in a letter said the NBC's notice represents a dangerous attempt to impose prior censorship on the media and suppress legitimate journalistic expression. The letter therefore urged President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to direct Information Minister Mohammed Malagi and the NBC to immediately abstain from imposing prior censorship on broadcast stations and journalists, including presenters, and to allow them to freely carry out their constitutional responsibilities and exercise their fundamental human rights. The notice includes sanction on the expression of personal opinions, alleged bullying or intimidation of guests, and failure to maintain neutrality. Charity Taylor has more on the story.
The letter therefore urged President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to direct Information Minister Mohammed Malagi and the NBC to immediately abstain from imposing prior censorship on broadcast stations and journalists, including presenters, and to allow them to freely carry out their constitutional responsibilities and exercise their fundamental human rights. The notice includes sanction on the expression of personal opinions, alleging bullying or intimidation of guests, and failure to maintain neutrality. It could recall that the federal government has launched a sweeping crackdown on the long-standing crisis of the advertising and media debt commercial transaction, with broadcasters signaling a new era of commercial and financial discipline across Nigeria's communication industry. At the heart of the government's intervention is a clear message. Persistent debt within the advertising ecosystem will no longer be tolerated. The policy, authorities say, is closely aligned with the economic priorities of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's renewed hope agenda, positioning financial accountability in the media sector as critical to broader national development. Central to the new enforcement framework is a strict media policy requiring all advertising-related payments on media orders to be settled within 45 days. Charity Taylor reporting for Standard Voice Television.
Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has described the Code of Conduct advisory issued by the National Broadcasting Commission (NBC) as an attempt to muzzle the media and shrink the space for free expression in Nigeria. Atiku, in a post on his X handle, said the timing and tone of these regulations exposed a deeper agenda and signaled a government more interested in controlling narratives than permitting a free, fair, and transparent electoral process. The former presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) in the 2023 general elections noted that he stood firmly with Nigeria's broadcast industry and all media platforms, resisting what he called this creeping censorship. The NBC, in a statement, warned journalists against bullying of guests, misuse of platforms, and other code breaches ahead of the 2027 general elections. Moving on, the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities, SANU, has issued a warning over the ongoing renegotiation process between university-based unions and the federal government. The position was contained in a communique issued at the end of a special National Executive Council meeting at the union's National Secretariat in Abuja, where leaders reviewed developments in the negotiation process. The federal government has approved a 30% increase in the consolidated salary structure of non-academic staff in federal universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education. The university workers insisted that no final agreement has been reached and threatening industrial action if talks are not concluded by the end of April. National President of the Union, Mohammed Ibrahim, in the communique, the NEC reaffirmed that the renegotiation process with the federal government is still ongoing and has not been concluded. Former Kano State Governor Ibrahim Shekarau has resigned his membership of the People's Democratic Party (PDP), citing a strategic political realignment. Shekarau, in a resignation letter addressed to the PDP chairman of Giginyu Ward in Nasarawa local government area of Kano State, disclosed that his exit takes immediate effect. The former senator explained that his decision followed extensive consultations within his political camp, pointing to an imminent shift to another party. Shekarau appreciated the party leadership at the ward level. The letter was also copied to the Kano State PDP chairman and the PDP chairman of Nasarawa local government area, indicating formal notification across party structures. Governor Obasani of Kaduna State says he inherited a state with immense potential, but faces many challenges including security issues, infrastructure deficiencies, and social indicators that require immediate attention. He disclosed this at a workshop for senior government officials organized by the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations (NIPR) as part of the ongoing Nigeria Public Relations Week, Croc City 2026 in Kaduna. The governor noted that Kaduna is not where it was, saying it's by far a better place today, and even more exciting is the fact that Kaduna is on the move and set to do even greater things and attain higher heights. Fani stressed that his administration understood from the outset that incremental adjustments would not take the state to the desired heights, adding that what was required is a disciplined reorientation of governance itself. The former Kaduna State Governor, Nasiru El-Rufai, is expected to appear before the Kaduna State High Court on Tuesday, April 21, for a ruling on his bail application. The presiding judge, Justice Darius Kobo, has fixed the date after hearing arguments from counsel. But El-Rufai's media advisor, Muyiwa Adekiye, in a statement, warned of malicious orchestrations allegedly aimed at ensuring his continued detention. El-Rufai's camp also faulted a report published in a national daily on April 18 titled El-Rufai's Trial, Gunmen Invade Principal Witness Home. The report quoted a witness, Mohammed Umar Karage, as alleging that the gunmen attacked his residence. The news is coming to you on Standard Voice Television Global News. Still to come in the news. Troops arrest over 20 terrorists and rescue kidnapped hostages nationwide. On the international scene, Iran says final agreement still far off and shot Hormuz Strait again. And on sport updates, Falconets intensify preparations for Malawi clash on the 20 Women's World Cup. These and more will be coming to you after this break. Do stay tuned. Welcome back from that short break, and now the news continues. Nigeria's troops have arrested over 20 terrorists and criminal elements in coordinated operations carried out across the country in a renewed push to dismantle insecurity nationwide. The army added that the troops, with other security agencies and local vigilantes, rescued kidnapped victims and disrupting criminal networks in collaboration targeting terrorist hideouts, kidnapping syndicates and criminal networks operating in several states. Troops of 12th Brigade, Kogi State, in conjunction with other security agencies and vigilantes, conducted offensive operations at Kakuma, Ileteju, Origa, and Ijomu villages, arresting 2 terrorists and recovering 2 motorcycles and 2 chainsaw machines. Also in another part, troops of Sector 1 Operation Fansanyama arrested a terrorist in Afaka in Kaduna State, who confessed to abandoning a terrorist camp due to internal clashes among terrorist leaders. Nigeria and Turkey have reached an agreement for the immediate deployment of 200 Nigerian special forces for special training in Turkey. The Minister of Defense, Christopher Musa, announced this in an interview on the sidelines of the 5th Antalya Diplomacy Forum, ADF 2026 in Antalya, Turkey on Saturday, following discussions with his Turkish counterpart, Yasar Gula. He noted that following the agreement, Turkey has allocated a training quota of 200 personnel from Nigeria's special forces who will be deployed immediately upon their return to Nigeria. Musa also stated that Nigeria and Turkey had both agreed on joint defense equipment production and the transfer of military technology. Moving on, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency (NDLEA) has intercepted 12 parcels of cocaine concealed in the bottom of food flasks heading to the United Kingdom from the Lagos International Airport. The agency in a statement said the cocaine consignment with a gross weight of 2.80 kilograms was intercepted by the NDLEA operatives at Lagos Airport, while two cargo agents involved in the export bid, Ama Obinna Ofiem and Ogabi Monday Akorede, were also arrested. Investigations revealed that a freight and forwarding agent, Aguru Tajuddin Moninuola, as the sender of the consignment, and he was arrested in the follow-up operation. In a similar vein, operative of the anti-narcotic at the import shed of the Lagos Airport also intercepted a consignment of loud, a strong strain of cannabis with a gross weight of 2.90 kilograms and concealed in snack food packs, which arrived from the United States of America aboard a Delta Airlines flight. Islamic cleric urges government to invest in agricultural government at all levels and have been urged to invest in agricultural activities as part of measures to diversify from petroleum to agriculture. Chief Imam of Ungwarimi Kaduna Juma'at Mosque, Imam Musa Yahya Sokoto, gave the advice while speaking to journalists in Kaduna, noting that it is important for Nigeria to feed itself to a point of even exporting it to other parts of the world. He appealed to government to motivate and encourage farmers by providing them farming inputs as well as soft or interest-free loans. Sokoto also advised government and empower lectures with modern techniques on farming in line with best international practices for good security in Nigeria. And on the international scene, the Strait of Hormuz was shut again on Sunday in the standoff between Iran and the United States, with Iran's parliament speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf saying a final peace deal remained far off despite some movement in negotiations. The speaker of the Iranian parliament in the televised address confirmed that there had been progress with Washington, but there are many gaps and some fundamental points remain. As mediation efforts continued following high-level talks in Pakistan that failed to reach a deal, Iran said it will not allow the crucial maritime trade choke point to reopen until the United States ends a blockade of Iranian ports. A 2-week ceasefire is set to end on Wednesday unless it is renewed. U.S. President Donald Trump said very good conversations were going on with Iran, but warned Tehran against trying to blackmail the United States. And lastly, on sport updates, Nigeria's Falconets have stepped up their build-up ahead of their FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup final qualifying first leg encounter against Malawi, scheduled for May 2nd. It was gathered that the Under-20 women's national team have been in intensive training in Abuja as they fine-tune tactics and sharpen their preparations for the decisive fixture, with coaches focusing on team organization and match strategy ahead of the encounter. Head coach Moses Aduku expressed hope in his squad's readiness, stressing that preparations had reached an advanced stage and that focus had shifted fully to tactical execution. He added that the team is fully concentrated on the tasks ahead and believes they are well positioned to secure a positive result in the first leg. Finally, on the news, here is a recap of the top stories again. Human rights group issues 48 hours ultimatum to federal government to withdraw unlawful order on media. University staff threatens strike action over salary renegotiation. Troops arrest over 20 terrorists and rescue kidnapped hostages nationwide. And on the international scene, Iran says final agreement still far off and shuts Hormuz Strait again. And on sport updates, Falconets intensify preparations for Malawi clash on the 20 Women's World Cup qualifiers. And that's the size of the news on Standard Voice Television. Our next bulletin comes up to you later. On behalf of the news editor, Ilya Adamu Auta, and the production crew, I am Sumaya Mustafa, thanking you and bye for now.